I had to refresh the recording, right? So at the beginning of this lecture also I told you that there are different systems used within organizations in multiple levels or multiple management groups or different management groups, right? So here we are going to look at those kinds of different systems, right? A business firm has systems to support different groups or levels of management. Now, what are the basic levels of management or basic levels of the organization which you know of? Can you quickly tell me what are the basic levels that that are there in any typical organization? Yes.
Top level,
Rahul?
middle level.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. I think there's a chat. Uh, Yeah, so you have an understanding, right? Usually we just very simply classify it as a top level, middle level, and lower level, right? So now we are going to look at different information systems which are being used to serve these different levels of management within an organization, right? So this next point says these systems include, so what are these different types of systems? One is transaction processing system. Then we have management information systems, decision support systems, and executive support systems. So these are the four types of information systems that we are going to discuss in this particular lecture. But it does not mean that these are the only systems that are available within an organization, right? There are many different systems, but for the purpose of this lecture, we have classified them into these four basic types, right? Okay. So moving on. First, let's look at the transaction processing system. Right? So first, take about 1 minute to read what this transaction processing system talks about. So what does this talk about? This talks about certain characteristics which are inherent to the transaction processing system, isn't it? Right. So let's go through one by one. First, it says serve operational level. Like you said, that lower level of the organization, which is also referred to the operation level of the organization or the operation level of management. Transaction processing system operates within this operational level or the lower level of the organization, right? Then, what kind of tasks or what kind of activities does the transaction processing system or the TPS do? Perform and record daily routine transactions necessary to conduct business. So the transaction processing system is able to do routine transactions or daily transactions which are happening repetitively, right? What is the nature of routine transactions? They happen repetitively, right? Again and again, these kind of transactions can be seen in an organization. What kind of examples can we take? Sales order entry, payroll, shipping, right? Now, depending on the nature of the organization, these may change, right? Now, if it's a large scale organization, this kind of shipping may be happening daily, but not for a small scale organization. But even for small scale organization, this kind of example, sales order entry, it happens daily, right? Sales transactions happen daily, so you have to enter those transaction details daily to the system. So the transaction processing system helps to fulfill these kinds of transactions happening within a business organization, right? So moving forward, allows managers to monitor status of operations and relations with the external environment. Also, the transaction processing system has the ability to monitor the status of operations. Now, we will talk about that with an example as we move forward, right? And also relations with external environment. So the transaction processing system has the ability of connecting the business to certain external parties of the environment as well. Once again, we'll talk about these two in detail as we move forward with the lecture, right? How transaction processing systems help to monitor the status of operations and to maintain relationships with external environment, right? Then serve predefined goals and structured decision making. Now, this is important, right? The transaction processing system does not have the ability to serve uh, ad hoc queries, right? Or certain decisions which happen in occasional situations or one-time decisions, right? Which occur in very special situations. Instead, transaction processing system helps managers to uh, serve serve decisions regarding predefined goals. That means these goals are already identified, they are already defined by the organization. For example, the monthly sales volume of the organization or the annual sales volume of the organization or calculation of the monthly salary of a particular employee, right? Likewise, these are predefined, right? That means the steps which we need to follow in order to arrive at these kinds of decisions have been already decided and established within the organization. They are predefined, already identified, right? They are not new, they are not ad hoc, right? And also structured decision making. What do you mean by structured decision making? Once again, in structured decision making, there is a agreed or prescribed set of steps in order to take structured decisions, right? There is an agreed way of approaching at a structured decision. There are agreed number of stages or levels, right? So, or agreed sequence. So, in order to take these kinds of decisions and in order to fulfill those kinds of predefined goals, transaction processing system is very helpful, right? And the next point says answers routine questions such as how many of a particular part do we have in stock, right? Once again, these routine questions, they can happen as a habit within the organization repetitively, right? So now inventory management or stock control is something which is a routine task, right? Or routine process. So what is the number of items that we have in a particular stock? So it's a routine question, right? අපේ stock එකේ කොච්චර ඉතුරු වෙලා තියෙනවද දැනට? And what happened to Mr. Williams' payment? That means, let's assume that Mr. William is a creditor, right? අපි හිතමු අපි මේ අපේ ණය හිමියෙක් කියලා, right? So then what happened to his payment? So that is a routine question, right? It's a creditor of our business and we are maybe referring to his account, right? Personal account. And maybe we are analyzing what happened to his payment. Has that been fulfilled? Have we paid Mr. William? Likewise, we can answer routine questions by the help of transaction processing systems, right? So this system helps to answer this kind of questions and to help the business with daily routine transactions that are necessary to conduct the business in a day-to-day basis, right? So in moving forward, now this is a transaction processing system used in a payroll process, right? The payroll process එකකට use කරන transaction processing system එකක illustration එකක් තමයි මේ figure එකේ දීලා තියෙන්නේ, right? A TPS for payroll processing captures employee payment transaction data such as time cards. Now, here we have shown this payroll system which is in the middle. It captures data through this arrow. It has shown how it captures certain employee data, such as a time card. That means, let's say, attendance record, right? Let's say this organization has a biometric system for recording attendance, the in-out times where you have to give the fingerprint and all, right? Or maybe scans. So likewise, these kinds of employee data pertaining to employee attendance, right? In-out times, arrival or departure times, likewise, those kinds of data are being fed to this payroll system. And also, information from the employee file or the employee database. What kind of information? The employee number, name, address, pay rate. Likewise, there are a number of information which are given here, right? So these kinds of information, once again, they can be fed to the payroll system. And also certain online queries, right, pertaining to these employees, they also can be fed to the system. Maybe employees application, certain employees apply for leaves, right? So those kinds of information, or loan requests, right? These kinds of things are also being input as information to the payroll system, or as data to the information system. And once these different types of data are processed by the payroll system, they are being generated as outputs to various parties. For example, to general ledger in order to make the monthly accounts, right? The monthly, for example, the monthly pay related information about the employees, they have to be recorded in the general ledger. And also certain management reports, right? Now here it says system outputs include online and hard copy reports for management and employee paychecks. So there might be management reports which can be taken in the form of hard copy reports, maybe a report pertaining to how revenue, how let's say employee pay has, you know, let's say how it has fluctuated over the few months, right? Or certain information which we give to the management regarding, let's say, how has the pay or how has employee remunerations behaved within this month, right? So likewise, management reports can be taken based on the information processed through this payroll system. And also to certain government agencies, like what? Maybe the Inland Revenue Department, we have to provide information about our information employees' income, right? In order to compile the maybe income tax, right? So likewise to government agencies, the payroll system is helpful to provide information. And then employee paychecks also are being issued through the same payroll system, right? So you can see now in the earlier slide also we discussed how a TPS or a transaction process system connects the organization with the external environment. Now here, like I mentioned, it provides certain information to government agencies. So that means it's proof that the transaction processing system has connections with certain parties in the external environment of the business as well, right? So that is about the payroll transaction processing system. So there might be many other transaction processing systems, right? So this is dedicated for payroll function. And there might be transaction processing system for sales, reporting sales, right? Or keeping track of the shipping of a company, right? So likewise, there might be many types of TPSs within a business. And you should be able to provide the features of these kinds of transaction processing system if we ask a question at the exam, right? So any questions so far on a transaction processing system? Anything you need to clarify? So if the answer is no, I'll take silence as a no. And we'll move on to the second type of information system, management information systems. Now, what is the name of your subject which you are learning? It is also management information systems, right? So again, we are talking here about management information systems. Now, here understand, here what we refer to as management information systems is a specific type of system which is being used within the organization, right? Now, our subject is also management information systems because we study the usage of different information systems within the business context, right? We study about the interaction between these kinds of systems and humans and how they are being used within organizations, how they behave, right? But do not confuse that with this management information system. This is a particular type of information system that is being used within an organization. Now, which level does the management information system serve? Serves middle management. මධ්‍ය පෙළ කළමනාකරුවන්ට තමයි උදව් කරන්නේ management information system එකකින් තොරතුරු සපයන්න. Right? Typically, these systems focus entirely on internal events. So these types of systems, this MIS or management information systems, they completely rely on internal events only, right? Providing the information for short-term planning and decision making. So this type of management information system has the ability to provide information for organization, internal short-term planning and decision making using purely internal events only. It does not interact with the external environment of the organization. Now, does the transaction processing system interact with the external environment? Yes or no? Does the transaction processing system interact with certain external parties of the organization? Yes, it does, no? Yes, we explained in the earlier slide that it does. But management information system, it does not. It purely relies on information from within the organization. So, from where do they get information? From where does the management information system gain information? මේකට තොරතුරු ලැබෙන්නේ කොහෙන්ද? MIS summarize and report on the basic operations of the organization based on data from the TPS. So, from the transaction processing system, certain information is being fed to the management information system, right? And based on this information, based on this data and information from the transaction processing system, the MIS has the ability to make certain summaries and reports on the nature of basic operations of the organization. I think it has
from TPS data.
Unmuted their mics. Are you trying to provide an answer or? Yeah, like I mentioned at the beginning of the lecture, please make sure from time to time that your mic is on mute, right? Okay. So, like I mentioned, the MIS has the ability to provide summaries and reports on the basic operations of the organization. What do we have here on the chat? Right, I think answers to a previous question, right? Okay. So, provides answers to routine questions with predefined procedure for answering them. Once again, this is a, what about transaction processing system? Do they provide answers to routine questions or ad hoc questions? Unique questions or routine questions? Transaction processing systems? We learned about this. Yes, transaction processing system also answers or addresses routine type questions, right? questions that occur repetitively within the business. Structured questions. They have a predefined procedure for answering them. MIS is also similar to that. They also provide answers to routine questions with predefined procedures uh, that are helpful in answering those kinds of questions, right? So now here what you have to understand is the connection between TPS and MIS. So if we basically just try to understand the levels of an organization, uh, excuse my drawing, right? So here you find the operational level of the organization. Here you find the middle level of the organization. So this is where you find the TPS, right? And the TPS provides certain information to the middle level where you find the uh, management information system of the organization, right? So in the middle level, you find the management information system. So to base the decisions, the summaries, the reports that this level makes, to base the information provided by the management information system, information is being taken from the transaction processing system, right? So I hope you all are clear with that. Right, so coming back, more features about the management information system. So typically they have little analytic capability. That means advanced queries cannot be processed using MIS, right? Once again, they only have a very small analytic capability, which has the ability to provide summaries and certain comparisons. For example, here we have given actual versus planned yearly product sales by region. What is the actual amount of sale and what was our budgeted or planned yearly sale, right? And a comparison between these two. Or the total amount of products sold within the first quarter of the year. Likewise, very simple comparisons, routines, and summaries. These are being able to carry out by this management information system. What do we have on the chat? Once again, answers to the earlier question. Right. So I hope you are clear on the basic features or attributes of a management information system. Right. So moving on. Here, this figure tries to illustrate how management information system obtain data from TPS of an organization, right? Now, earlier example of a TPS, we related you an example of a payroll TPS, no? Payroll එකක transaction processing system එකක් තමයි කලින් example එකේ අපි පෙන්නුවේ. දැන් මෙතන පෙන්නන්නේ කොහොමද ඔය විදිහේ එක එක වර්ගයේ transaction processing system එහෙම නැත්නම් එක එක වර්ගයේ TPS වලින් කොහොමද MIS එකකට එහෙම නැත්නම් management information system එකකට තොරතුරු ලබා ගන්නේ මොන වගේ තොරතුරුද ලබා ගන්න කියන එක තමයි මෙතන පෙන්නන්නේ, right? So here we have given three different types of transaction processing systems related to orders, production, accounting files, right? So we have an order processing system, we have a material resource planning system, we have a general ledger system. So these are different TPSs within the organization, right? So these different systems obtain data from different types of sources. For example, order processing systems obtain data from the order file, maybe customer orders, right? The MRP system obtains data from the production file. General ledger system obtains data from the accounting file. So what happens to these data processed through the TPS? They are being fed to the MIS. in the form of different files. Now, in the earlier example of TPS, we learned how the transaction processing system has the ability to produce certain reports for management per user, right? So what kind of files? Sales data, product data regarding the unit product cost of a certain product, product change data, right? Expense data. So from the order processing system, you might be getting data regarding sales, right? Maybe sales values, right? Sales volume, right? Then the revenue information. From the MRP system, you might be getting information about the production cost of the firm, right? What is the cost of production for a unit of item within our organization? Or product change data, right? How have these changed over a period? And the general ledger system, you might be getting information regarding expenses and many other things, right? So all this information are being fed to the management information system. And once these are processed, the MIS has the ability to produce certain reports for the usage of managers, right? So if we look at the description at the bottom, in the system illustrated by this diagram, 3 TPS supply summarized transaction data to the MIS reporting system at the end of the time period, right? මේ කියන TPS තුනේ යම්කිසි දෙන ලද නිශ්චිත කාල සීමාවක් අවසානයේ MIS එකට අවශ්‍ය data සපයනවා කියලා කියන්නේ. At the end of a particular identified period, the TPS provide information to the MIS. Managers gain access to the organizational data through the MIS, which provides them with the appropriate reports. So, how can managers gain access to the data produced by the MIS? Through reports that are provided by this system, right? MIS එක මගින් විවිධ වාර්තා විවිධ reports produce කරනවා. ඒවා පාවිච්චි කරලා මේ organization එකේ performance එක ගැන සහ විවිධ areas ගැන managers ට information ලබා ගැනීමේ හැකියාව තියෙනවා. Right? So that is how the relationship between TPS and MIS has been illustrated. Right? I hope it is clear to everyone. Right. Now we are looking at a sample MIS report. Right? So in this company, Consolidated Consumer Products Corporation, they have shown sales by product and sales region within the year of 2009. In this particular company, they have given out the product code, the description, sales region, actual sales, planned sales, and also a comparison, right? So this report tries to show summarized annual sales data which have been produced by a MIS, right? Which have been produced by a management information system. Now, this is a sample report which has been produced by a MIS used within this Consolidated Consumer Products Corporation, right? Like you can see, they can show simple summaries and comparisons, right? That was one of the features of the MIS which we have already learned. Now here that has been clearly shown to you, no? They have shown the actual the region-wise sales. They have been summarized. You can easily compare. And product-wise sales can be obtained, and actual sales versus planned or budgeted sales can be obtained easily through this report, as well as what happened to our actual sales figure when compared with our planned sales target, right? Have we achieved or have we underachieved or overachieved, right? So 0.85 means we haven't achieved the 100%, right? But in the southern region, we have exceeded our targets, right? So likewise, useful decisions can be obtained by management in looking at the information provided by the management information system reports. right? So that is about the Management Information Systems report. Let's look at another system, the Decision Support System. Just like the Management Information System, this Decision Support System also serves or operates in the middle level of the management of an organization, right? Serve the middle management. Focus on problems that are unique and rapidly changing. Now this is different. No? When we consider the TPS and the MIS, when you compare with them, now the decision support system is obviously different. In the TPS and MIS, we focused on problems that are routine in nature, predefined steps are there in order to achieve at a solution, right? Repetitive in nature. But here, the problems they face, the decision support system, the problems they face are unique and rapidly changing. That means, are they routine or are they structured? No, right? That means for which the procedure for arriving at a solution may not be fully predefined in advance. Then TPS එකකයි MIS එකකයි serve කරන problems ඒ problems වලට arrive වෙන හැටි solutions provide කරන හැටි already agreed ඒවා already agreed stages ටිකක් තිබ්බා නේ මේකට කොහොමද arrive වෙන්නේ කියලා steps ටික already business එකෙන් දන්නා right but a decision support system එකක ඒක එහෙම නැහැ. Sorry about that small interruption. So decision support system එකක arrive වෙන questions ඒවා හරිම unique right one time ඇති වෙන ප්‍රශ්න වෙන්න පුළුවන් එහෙම නැත්නම් මේවා නිතරම වෙනස් වෙන පරිසරයක් ඇතුලේ ඇති වෙන ප්‍රශ්න right මේ ප්‍රශ්න නිතර වෙනස් වෙනවා එතකොට ඒ වගේ ප්‍රශ්න වලට solution එකක් දෙන්න හදද්දී ඒ solutions වලට කොහොමද අපි එළඹෙන්නේ කියන එක business එක දන්නේ නැහැ දැනට ඒක ගැන agreement එකක් නැහැ ඒවා already define කරලා නැහැ right මේ ක්‍රියාමාර්ග තමයි ගන්න ඕනේ මේකට solution එකක් දෙන්න කියන එක business එක දන්නේ නැහැ they are not predefined in advance right the business does not know how to arrive at these kinds of solutions because they are unique they have not they have not been encountered by the business before in a prior situation right so what kind of questions so this next point shows answers questions such as what would be the impact on production schedules if we were to double sales in the month of December? Now, is this a routine question? Is this the question that the business usually has to face in day-to-day business work? No, right? If we double our sales during the December season, what would be the impact on our production schedules? අපි December මාසේ අපේ sales double කරොත් අපේ production schedule එකට මොන වගේ impact එකක් වෙයිද? දැන් මේක routine question එකක් නෙමෙයි නේ. නිතරම මුණ දෙන්න වෙන ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෙමෙයි business එකට. මේක unique ප්‍රශ්නයක්. ඒතර මේ වගේ ප්‍රශ්නයකට උත්තර දෙන්න decision support system එකක් program කරලා තියෙනවා. right? decision support system එකකින් help කරනවා මේ වගේ ප්‍රශ්නයකට පිළිතුරක් සපයන්න. Now, for example, if we double the sales in December, right? We might have to maybe change our capacities, production capacities. We might have to hire more labor. We might have to recruit more employees, right? We might have to sometimes widen our workspace, storage space, or sometimes we might have to change the shifts that employees need to work. We might have to procure more resources, more raw materials, more supplies, right? We might have to make certain changes in production schedules, right? So in order to arrive at these kinds of decisions, decision support systems are helpful for an organization, right? So from where does the decision support system gain information? From the internal information provided by TPS and MIS, right? Like I mentioned earlier, transaction processing system feeds information to MIS. Now, Information provided by both these systems put together are helpful for the decision support system in arriving at their decisions, right? Also use external sources such as current stock prices or product prices of competitors. This is also very important. Now the MIS, it got information from purely internal sources. But the decision support system or the DSS, is it like that? No, right? The DSS gets information from sources that are external to the organization as well. For example, the current stock prices or the product prices of competitors. Let's say we are trying to introduce a pricing scheme for our products, right? So the decision support system can help the organization to take this unique decision. අපි අලුත් product එකක් introduce කරනවා කියලා හිතමු market එකට. එතකොට මේකට අපි price එකක් set කරන්න ඕනේ. pricing strategy එකක් අපිට ඕනේ. මේක unique ප්‍රශ්නයක් නේ. එතකොට මේ වගේ ප්‍රශ්නයකට උත්තර දෙන්න අපිට decision support system එකකින් උදව් ගන්න පුළුවන්. නමුත් ඒ වගේ තීරණයකට එළඹෙන්න නම් අපිට බාහිර පරිසරෙනුත් සමහර තොරතුරු ඕනේ නේ. අපේ කම්පිටිටර්ස්ලා මොන වගේ ප්‍රයිසිං ස්ට්‍රැටජි එකක්ද පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ? ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ prices මොන වගේද? එහෙනම් අපි අපිව ප්ලේස් කරන්න ඕනේ කොතනද? Likewise, we will have to compare ourselves with the external competitors. So then, from the external environment also, you might have to take certain information, right? So the decision support system helps an organization to do that by connecting the organization with certain external information as well. So now we have discussed about 3 different types of systems. I hope you remember the differences and the similarities between these types of systems. In the operational level, we understood there's a TPS or transaction processing system, and in the middle level, what do we have? We have MIS, also known as Management Information System, and additionally we have the DSS or the Decision Support System, right? Now, like I mentioned earlier, the TPS provides information to the MIS, right? And it's purely internal. But for the DSS or the decision support system, you gain information from the TPS as well as the MIS. Both of these systems provide information necessary to arrive at decisions taken by the decision support system. In addition, not only these internal sources, the decision support system also gains certain information from parties that are external to the organization as well, right? So I hope you understand these differences that are there within these kinds of systems, right? So any questions so far? Anything that you need to clarify? Or anywhere which was not clear for you? If there are, you can ask. So today basically we covered the topic business process. We understood how we define or how we understand about the business process, how important they are for the proper performance of the organization, and we understood about different types of systems that are within an organization, and we have talked about 3 systems out of those different kinds of information systems. And in the coming lectures, we will be talking about the remaining types of information systems. So any questions? I think the silence means that you don't have questions. Am I correct? I think so. Right. So if there are no questions, I think we can wind up the lecture for today and for this year. So today is the last day of year 2020. It has been a strange year for most of us, right? So things have changed and the way we meet you and interact with you have changed. But we are doing the best we can to deliver, right? Deliver the education, the right education to you. So we are happy that you are also accepting that and how enthusiastic you are also about receiving that. So let's see how things go in the future. While wishing you all the very best in the coming semester and as well as a very happy new year. We would like to wind up the lecture now if you do not have any questions. So see you in a new year, in a new lecture in year 2021. Right? So until then, take care and thank you for your participation for the lecture.